The Pistons are the worst team in the NBA today and are still on pace to be the worst team in NBA history. Unfortunately, due to this, one thing that's flown quite a bit under the radar is the emergence of Jalen Duren. There's been a little bit of buzz around Duren this season, especially following his monster 2020 game and the win over the Thunder on the 28th, but not nearly as much as there should be. Yes, Duren is a crazy athletic lob threat, and yes, he's a monster on the glass, but what makes him so special is how high his basketball IQ is at the young age of 20. Not only is this the reason he's able to find himself pulling down so many boards due to his ability to know exactly where on the floor to be to do so, but it also leads to him being a surprisingly great playmaker, regularly showcasing his quick decision-making skills and making the right pass. For example, he almost always makes the right decision coming off the short roll as seen in this clip. Another nod to Duren's high IQ and probably, in my opinion, one of the most underrated aspects of him as a player is his shot blocking ability. Most people will see that he's putting up 0.9 blocks a game this season and say that's about average for a starting center, but what's impressive isn't the volume at which he's blocking the shots, it's the intentionalism behind these blocks. As much as we all love the highlight plays of the huge blocks where the ball is swatted 30 rows into the stands, at the end of the day, those are lower value plays than a simple tip block to a teammate because only in the latter does your team gain possession. As of this recording, Duren has blocked 27 shots so far this season, and not a single one of them was blocked out of bounds. Duren is a cerebral shot blocker who either makes a point of placing the shot off the glass or just tipping it directly to a spot on the floor in which a teammate can go get it themselves. Duren's also deceptively light on his feet, which as he grows as a defender will allow him to hold his own when small guards switch onto him as a mismatch, which gives him a huge leg up on many of the slow-footed bigs in the NBA. What surprises me about Duren's skill flying under the radar is he isn't the kind of player who needs the eye test to truly know their greatness. The numbers back it up too. For example, let's compare second-year Duren to second-year Giannis. This comparison might sound ridiculous until you look at the numbers and realize they're very much so in the same ballpark of one another. I mean, you can even throw second-year Dwight Howard in there and you'll see three players who are very similar in numbers from top to bottom. Obviously, I'm not saying Duren is a lock to become a superstar on the level of Giannis or a Dwight, especially considering even though he is very strong and very big, he doesn't have the demigod-like body of those two guys. But based on what we're seeing from him as a guy that's just turned 20 years old, as far as a ceiling, he doesn't really have one. Duren is also quite literally a walking double-double. I think a lot of people don't find this too impressive as they get this idea in their head that pretty much every starting center in the league averages a double-double, but that's not quite true. There's only 15 other players in the league that are averaging a double-double. And as far as Duren's stats go, 13.9 points and 11.8 rebounds per game, only 3 players in the NBA right now can match or exceed those stats. Domantas Sabonis, Nikola Jokic, and Anthony Davis. Not bad company to have. One thing I love to see when I watch Duren is that despite being incredibly strong, he doesn't always rely on his strength to put points up on the board. Duren has a decent chunk of moves in the post, but the one he seems to like to go to most often is just a simple pump fake or two, which, due to his size and strength, tends to catch defenders off guard and allows him to easily get to the rim and get a lot of and-one opportunities in the process. And while Duren's not the most amazing free throw shooter, you can tell that getting to the line has been an emphasis of his game because he's clearly been working on his free throw shooting this season, jumping up from 61% last year to nearly 70% this year. And when a young big is thriving, people are always quick to jump to, oh, if he develops a jumper, he's going to be a problem. And while I think it's true that if Duren developed a jumper, he would be a problem, we've seen bigs dominate the modern game, or at least thrive in the modern game without developing much of a jump shot. So while yes, Duren should probably get in the gym and see if he can get himself to a point where he's hitting 12-15 footers on a semi-regular basis, I don't think it's a make or break for him and being a star. Another note, and I know it's crazy to talk this way about a guy who literally just turned 20 a few weeks ago, but the cerebrality with which Duren plays the game is going to allow his game to age gracefully even when he's past his years of jumping out of the gym. To sum it up, if NBA players were stocks, I would be putting all my money into Jalen Duren. I think with him being on such a terrible team right now, simply because nobody's actually watching him play, his perceived value is at an all-time low, whereas his real potential is at an unimaginable high.